Hey guys, welcome to the Creative Arena. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make use of the advanced custom field alongside the Elementor Pro to create any custom post type. So this is a live preview of what we'll be achieving at the end of this tutorial. So you can see these are the various team members. You can hover on the name and then click it. When you hover on the image, you see the social icons here. These are added dynamically to all the team members, and then when you click on a particular team member, let's say you click on this member here, it's going to load here, and then you can see the full details of the member and then the larger picture here with the social icons as well. So I'm going to show you how you can achieve this easily. So without further delay, let's get started. So on your dashboard, you head on to the plugin and then you click on the add new plugin. The plugin we'll be using for this to create our custom post type is the ACF plugin. So we just search for ACF, and once this loads up, it shows us the plugin I'm going to install and activate it. I've already installed and activated it. So for those of you that are not conversant with this plugin in particular, I will be giving a brief explanation of some of the features for beginners, so not to worry much. So when you scroll down on your sidebar menu, you see a new entry here called the ACF. Now in this entry here, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to create a custom post type, and to do so we're just going to click on post types. So once this loads up for us, we see the option to add a new post type. So for the purpose of this tutorial, like I said earlier, we will be creating a custom post type called themes, in which will serve as our dynamic team members for our website. So you might be wondering why you might need a dynamic team member. So in a situation where you want to deliver a job to a client, a company that has a large database of staffs, you can use this to create it so that they too can easily update their new staffs or update their staff members on the website. So let's continue. So you just click on add new. Now once this loads up, you see the various options. So for the first option here, you see the plural label. So we're going to add plural label to be team, and then for the singular we're going to call it for the plural we're going to call the plural teams, and then for the singular we're going to call the singular team. And then all right, so for the taxonomy, no taxonomy for here, we're just going to leave it the way it is. All right, so now scroll down to the public. Make sure you toggle this to public, and then the hierarchical, you also toggle this on so that you can create post types that have descendants, just like what we have in pages and then in blog in pages. Yeah, so also there is an advanced configuration here. So when you toggle this, you can see the various features here. Now you can select the various features that this custom post type supports. So for this, we're just going to leave it basic, which is the title, editor, and the feature image. Now for this label here, you can change some details, label details, but I think the default values are okay to use. For the visibility here, you can set it to be visible or show in the UI and also show in the admin menu as well. So we're just going to leave it the way it is. For this menu position, this allows you to set what position you want your custom field to appear on the sidebar menu. So we're going to leave it the way it is. And then for the menu icon here, you can set up the icon you want your custom post type to have. So to do so, we just click on this dash icon class name, and it takes us to a page where we see the various icons that we can select from. So we're just going to select this icon in particular. Yep, I think this icon. Let's use this icon, and then we just copy this, and then we head back and we paste it here. So once we've done that, you can see here we show in the admin bar, appearance in the menu, support, and then we're just going to leave it the way it is. So we head to the URL, and there's nothing we're going to do here in the URL. So we can also add these archive items and leave it the way it is if you wanna. And then we can come to the permission. For the permission, we're just going to leave it the way it is, and then there is a REST API, also leave it at default. So once we've done all this, the next thing we're just going to do is just click on save changes, and let's see what we have. All right, now if you look at your sidebar menu, you see what we've created. This is the custom post type we've created, the theme, as you can see here, and then you can see these various short links for you to use to either add new feeds, link groups, and so on. But we're just gonna leave it the way it is. We won't be needing that for now. So when you click on all team, it's going to show you all the various teams you've created. So we haven't created any new team member here, so we're just gonna leave it the way it is. we're just going to wait until we create a new team member. So the next thing we're just going to do is we're going to head back to our ACF, and then we're going to create a field group. This is the metal field group. Now this metal field group has these various options for you to create a new metal field for your custom post type. So let's click on the add new. Okay, now this the field type. You can select from here the various field types you want to use, and you can also use the browse field to select the various field type you want to use. And then you can see here that there's also some features for the pro. For this tutorial, the free version is quite very okay for whatever you want to do for now. So I'll be sticking to this free version in subsequent tutorials. So we're just gonna give our field group a new name. So we'll call it team details. I'm going to call it team details. All right, so the first field type is going to be the text field. So for the label, the field label, we're going to call it position. I'm going to call it position, and then for the default value, we're going to leave that empty. So in the validation, you can set it to require or not, or you can also restrict the number of characters in that particular field here. So I'm just going to set it to require. And then for the presentation, you can add some minor instructions here, some little instruction here, and then you can also add placeholder text. You can add a prepend, that's the text that can appear before your content, and then the append, the text that appears after your content. Here is the wrapper attribute, where you can set the width of the input area, and then some custom class or ID if you have any. So for the width, we're just going to set it to 30%. And then we head back on this conditional logic. This is this particular feature, when activated, it allows you to show certain fields when certain fields are set. For instance, now if you ask someone, if you have a field that asked for or that requested for the user to impute a specific item, let's say to state if he or she was invited to the website by a client or not. If the user selects yes, he or she was invited to the website by a client, now you can set a conditional field to show if the user selects yes, then this field should show, whereby the user is allowed to input the name of the client that invited the user. So you get the gist. All right, the next we're going to add is some social icons, some link options. So we're just going to click on add new field here, and then we'll go to the browse option, and then we'll select the URL field, and we'll select this. So for the field label, we're going to call it Facebook. Going to call it Facebook, and then for the field name, leave it away Facebook, and then for the default value, we're just going to add a default value of https like this, and then facebook.com, leave it like that, and then we're just going to copy this out. Let's copy this out. Okay, now we're going to add we'll head on to the validation process. We're still going to leave it the same. We're not going to allow set this to be a required field. And for the presentation, we're going to edit the wrapper attribute and set it to 30%. And that is pretty much it for this field. We'll add another field. This time around, we're going to call the field still a URL field, and we're going to title the field Twitter. And then for the default value, we're just going to add twitter.com for the default value, and we'll go to the presentation and we'll set the wrapper attribute to 30%, and then we'll add another field. This time around, we're going to call the URL field Instagram. We're going to call the URL field Instagram, and then for the default value, we're just going to add Instagram.com. And I think we are done with these fields. These fields are enough. You can still add as much field as you want, depending on whatever custom post type you're building. So now that we're done with this, we're just going to come down to the settings. Now for the settings, you see the location row. Now the first option, the option here is that you show this field group if post type is equal to post. By default, what this means is that this field we've created is going to show on our default WordPress post, but that is not what we want. So in that situation, we're just going to change this post to our theme. So now this post type, these fields will now display on our theme, and then you can also check on the presentation option here and then set whatever you want to set here, and for the group settings as well. Everything we just leave it at default. It's all good to go, and then we just head back and then click on save changes. All right, now that we've successfully created a field group, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a taxonomy. Now you might be wondering, what is a taxonomy? The taxonomy here is actually the same feature as that of the default WordPress categories and tag. So for the taxonomy, you might want to leave it, but it helps you to actually sort out your entries, your various custom post entries. So for the plural form, we're going to call it rows, and then for the singular form, we're going to call it row. So that's the taxonomy feature we're creating. And then for the post type, we're going to select the post type which we are creating this taxonomy feature for, and that is the theme. So, and then we're going to also allow for the taxonomy feature to have hierarchy, which is adding the hierarchical taxonomy so that the taxonomies can have descendants as well, just like in the categories. All right, so now you click on the advanced configuration. Here you can set if you want your taxonomy to sort terms. Yes, we need that. And then you can add a brief description here. And then for the labels, you can also replace the labels and change it to whatever you want, but that is okay. And then for the visibility, I think everything here, okay, we're going to toggle this, let it show in admin column as well. So and then for the URL feature, there's nothing we're going to do here. All right, or you can even set the hierarchical here, just toggle this. And then for the permissions, everything here looks okay. So now that we've done this, we're just going to click on save changes and then allow for it to load. Alright, we've successfully created a taxonomy. So now if we head to our custom post type, this theme here, we're going to see something called row, which is the taxonomy we've created. So now if you click on this row, this now allows you to create the various rows you want, or the various taxonomy features you want for your custom post type. So the first we're going to create is called the board members, and then we're just going to click on add new row. Okay, now we can also create a child entry for this board member. We can just say, let's say CEOs, and then just select for the parent to set it at board members, and then we'll add it. And then you can create another, you can even create security. You can create security and then set it to none, then you add that as well. So and so on and so forth. You can create as much rows as you wanna, so it can help you to sort out your various custom post entry. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to populate our team members. So we're just going to create a new team member. So to do so, we just click on this add new, and then right here we'll give the team member a name. So the team member name is John Doe, and then for the content we're just going to paste this content here. And then for the roles, we're going to give him the role of board member CEO, and then for the position, we're going to give him the position of CEO. And then for this, we're just going to add his Twitter, Facebook, and then for Twitter, and then for Instagram as well. So once we've done that, the next we'll do is set a featured image for him. So from our list of already images available, we're just going to use this as the image. And then so now that we've done that, the next we're just going to click on publish, and voila, we've successfully created our first entry. So with this, bearing this in mind, you can populate your custom post type with different entries as you want. Okay, now that we've successfully created this member, we can view it, and you see there's nothing special. It's just a normal. All our various custom meta fields are not showing here, but not to worry. With the help of Elementor Pro, we'll be redesigning this particular page to look something very beautiful, and also having to display our various custom meta that we created, and so on. So if you do not have the Elementor Pro, there's a link in the description of this video where you can download the Elementor Pro, and then you can get started with what we're doing here. So let's head back. So that is pretty much it about how you can populate your team members. So I'm going to pause this video and then create some number of team members. As you can see, I've been able to populate the teams with some members with various roles as well. So the next thing we're going to do is going to try to display this on our website. So there are multiple ways you can do that, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we're making use of the Elementor Pro to display it for our visitors to be able to see as well. So to do so, we just head on. First thing we need to do is we head on to our Elementor settings. and then we'll go to the future option and make sure that the grid container is set to active, and then the nested element also set to active, and we'll scroll down to the flexbox container and make sure this is also set to active. And once you've done that, you now click on save changes. After doing that, the next thing you're going to do is head on to your template, and then you go down to the theme builder. Now we're going to create two templates for our custom post type. So the first template we're going to create is going to be the template for the archive, after which we'll come down and create the template for the single post. So to do so, we're just going to click on this plus icon here and then allow for it to load. Okay, so now once we've done that, the next thing we're going to do, we're just going to click here and then add the flexbox container, this container here, and then we'll just go to the advanced settings and give it a padding of 100 pixel all around, and then unlink this and set the 20 pixel to the left, 20 pixel like so. So we'll have something like this, and then we'll see all what you're doing clearly. So the next thing we're going to do is just going to add a loop grid. You're just going to drag and drop this loop grid here. So now, if for those of us that are conversant with how to go about loop grid, you will know what to do from here. But for the benefit of those that do not have an idea or that are new to this, now under the layout, you see where you can choose the template type, which is the loop you're creating for, the template you're creating the loop for, either for post or for product. So for this situation, we're creating for post. So now right below that, you see where you can choose a template. In the situation where you've already created the template you want to use, this is where you can choose it and then use it. But in our situation, we don't have a template to use, so we're just going to create our template from scratch. So we're just going to click on create a template, then allow for this to load. Once it loads up, it's going to take us to a place where we're going to create our template. All right, so now that we're here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a flexbox container, this container here, and then we're just going to on our structure element here. We're just going to turn it on, and then we're going to rename it. We're going to rename our structure element to parent. Okay, right, now that we've done that, the next thing we're going to do is here for the width, we're going to set the width to 90%. We're going to set the width to 90%. We'll set the width to 90%, and then for the minimum height, we're just going to leave it the way it is. Then content justification, we're going to justify content to the center, and then we're going to scroll down here, and then the gaps here, we're going to unlink this and set the gap to 0. Okay, now that we've done this, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a container within this parent container. So we're just going to drag and drop this container here, and we're going to call this container the child container. Now for this child container, we're going to set the width to 80%. I'm going to set the width to 80%, and then for the minimum height, we're going to set the minimum height to 300 pixel, and then we're going to justify content to the center as well. And we're going to head up here to the style options, and then for the background, we're going to set the background to normal. We're going to set the normal background and then add a background image. In this situation, instead of us adding a static image, we're going to add a dynamic image. By clicking on this dynamic tag, and the image here will be the featured image. Now what this featured image does is it pulls the featured image of the most recent post you've created. So now for the position, we set the position to top center, and then for the repeat, no repeat, and for the display size, we're going to set it to cover. Okay, now that we've done this, the next thing we're going to do is we'll go to the background overlay. For the background overlay, we're going to add an overlay for hover. So we're going to set the overlay background color to be black, and then the opacity, we're going to set the opacity to 0.07. We're going to set it so we'll have something like this. Okay, now that we're done with this, the next thing we're going to do is we'll now go back here, and then we'll drag another container within the child container. So we're going to have something called the grand child container. So we're going to call this the grand child. The grand child. Now for this container here, we're going to set the width just like the child container. We're going to set the width to 80%. We're going to set the width to 80%, and then for the minimum height, we're going to set the minimum height to 300 pixel as well. 300 pixel. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to justify content to the center, and then we're going to add an element to it. The element we're going to add here is going to be social. social icons. Here's one. We're just going to drag and drop it here, and then before we do anything to that, let's go to the style option and then reduce the size to let's say 20 pixel, something like that, and then we'll go back to the content. For the Facebook option, now the link we're going to add is going to be a dynamic tag link, so we just scroll down to ACF. Under ACF, you see the ACF URL field, and then we'll click on this range icon or the spanner icon, as the case may be. Then for the key, we're going to set the key to Facebook. We're going to do the same for Twitter. Dynamic tag, we'll come down to ACF, and then we'll set the key to Twitter, and then come down here, and for this YouTube, we're going to replace it to Instagram. Okay, and then we're going to set the URL dynamic tag, we're going to set it to ACF field, URL field, and then the key, we're going to set it to Instagram. Alright, now that we've done this, everything looks fine. So the next thing we're just going to do is, under this grand child, we're going to go to the advanced settings. For the advanced settings, we're going to go to the custom CSS, and then we're going to add a few lines of CSS code. So we're going to type it out, selector, and then this, and then we're going to give it an opacity of 0, and then transition, we're going to add a transition, add a transition effect of 4 seconds, and then we're going to come down here and add another selector. For this time around, the selector is going to be for hover. Okay, and then the opacity we're going to give it an opacity of 1. So now what this actually means is that when you hover, whatever content you have here shows, but on the normal it disappears, but on hover it shows. So that's the effect we want to add. So now that we've done that, the next thing we're just going to do is we're going to add another container, but this time around it will be within the parent container, not the child container. So to do so, we'll just come here and then we'll drag another container and drop it here. If you notice, the container now went under the child container, but that is not what we want, so we're going to drag it out using this structure, and then we're going to bring it down here. Alright, so this is what we have now. So for this container here, we're going to go to the advanced setting, and then we're going to give it a padding of 30 pixel all around. Give it a padding of 30 pixel all around, and then we'll go to the style option. For the style option, we're going to give it a border, go to the border, and then add some box shadow to it. So now for the box shadow, we're going to set the blur to 5, and then for the spread, we're going to set the spread to -3. So this is what we're going to have. But it's not that visible, but not to worry, we'll start populating it with items, and then we're going to see what we've done here. So the next thing we're going to do is just click on this plus icon, and then we're going to drag a button widget. I'm just going to drag and drop this widget here. Now for the button text, we're going to set it to dynamic text, which is the post title. It's going to be the post title. Yep. And then we're going to go to the style options for the button text, and then we're going to set the font size. We're going to set it to 25 pixel, and then the weight, we're going to set the weight to be 700. And then, so now that we've done that, the next thing we're going to do is for the button, we're going to come down to the background type. We're going to set the background type, the background color. We're going to set the color to transparent. We're going to set it to transparent. Then the text color, we're going to set the text color to black. So we'll have something like that. And then for the hover, we're going to set the background for the hover. We're going to set the background for the hover to be transparent as well, but the text, we're going to set the text to be red. So we'll have something like this. When you hover, we'll have something like that. Okay, so now that we've done this, the next thing we're going to do is we'll go to the content, and then we'll add a link. Now we're going to use a dynamic link here. So for that, we're going to use the post URL link, so that once you hover on it, it gives you the sensation that you can click on this to view. Okay, so now that we've done that, the next thing we're going to do is just going to add a heading text right below here. I'm going to add a heading text right below here. For this heading text, we're going to use a dynamic tag, and then we'll come down to the ACF field and we'll click on this range icon, and then we'll go to the key and set the position there. So it's not going to show here, but once I'm done, I'm going to make it visible for us to see. So we just come down to the style option here, and for the color we're going to set it to something like this, and then for the typography we're going to set the font size to be 18 pixel. Okay, so now that we've done all this, in order to make this our loop pulls our information for preview so that we can see precisely what we're doing, we're just going to come here to the settings here, click on this cog icon here, and then we come here, we change the loop title to theme archive, change it to theme archive, and then come to the preview settings. The preview settings now it's set to post, so we're just going to change it and bring it to theme, and then we're going to apply and preview. I'm going to click on apply and preview and then allow for me to. Okay. Alright, you can notice that the position field is actually not showing, but not to worry, once we're done it's going to show. So you also notice that for the title, this button here, there is too much space at the top and at the bottom, making it not to look so well. So we're just going to edit the button again, and then we'll go to the style options, and then for the padding here, the button padding, I'm just going to remove the padding, and then we'll now go back here and set the alignment to the center, so we'll have something like this. So now that we've done this, the next thing we're just going to do here is that we're going to save and then publish our, we're going to click on save and back. So once you do that, it's going to take us back to the loop. So you also notice that now that we are at the loop, instead of it pulling our pulling content from our theme, is actually pulling content from our default post, actually pulling post content, and that is not what we want. So in order to fix this, we now come here and edit the loop. Now we're going to set the columns, I'm going to set it to 4 columns. I'm going to set it to 4 columns, and then for the query options, now we'll go to the source. Instead of post, we're going to set it to themes, then allow for it to load, and you can see it's now loaded completely for us. So now we notice that the position field is aligned to the left instead of the center, so we just go back to edit template, and the reason for that is that it didn't come up when it was supposed to come up. I don't know what was happening to Elementor. So now for this, we just click on this and then we'll align it to the center, so we'll now have something as beautiful as this, so as you can see. Alright, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to try to reduce the distance between the name and the position. So to do so, we just edit this container here, edit the container. Under the layout, we now come to the gaps. So for the gaps, we're going to give a gap row of 10, so we'll have something like that. So now that we've done that, we just click on save and back. And then voila, this is what we'll have. This is what our archive is going to look like for the various themes we've created. So you can see now when you hover, this is what you get, and then you get this as well. So this looks beautiful. Alright, so the next thing we're just going to do here now, we're going to publish this. We're going to publish this archive we've created. So, and then we're going to add some condition. So add a condition. Instead of setting it to be for all archive, include it on all archive. If you do this, both your conventional WordPress post is going to take this format as well, but that is not what we want. So we're just going to come down here and select theme. Under the theme, we're going to set it for theme archive. So once we've done that, we're just going to click on save and close. I'm going to click on save and close. So now it is live, so we can view it on our live site. Just click on this and then view it on our live site. So as you can see, this is it. Just look, when you hover, you see the various social handle for that particular member. You can see. All right. So now, in order for us, I'll still go back. I'm just going to go back to our editor here, and then under this loop grid, we're going to add items per page. We're going to set it to like let's say 12 items per page, so we can see as much as we have already created, as much as we have, and then we can also set the pagination as well, so that in a situation where you have a lot of content, you can actually add a position, use the pagination to go to the next page, and so on. So we can use load on click, So use the load more. So now it's not showing because that's all we have, all the content we have, but in the situation we'll have more content, it's going to show for us. So now that we've successfully created our archive, we're just going to publish this, and then the next we're going to create is for the single post. If you should click on your website URL and then you add /team, this is what you're going to see, the various team members you have on your website, as you can see. So now the next one we're going to create, the next template we're going to create is going to be template for the single post. That is when you click on a team member, this is the next template we're going to create, so that it's going to look better than what we have here. So we now head back to our team builder. So for the team builder, instead of creating another archive, we're going to create for single post. So you just click on this plus icon here, okay. So now this is the field, this is where we're going to create our template for single post. So to do so, just click on this plus icon and then click select the flexbox container, and for the flexbox container we're going to select this. So we're going to set advanced settings. We're going to give it a padding 100 all around, and then we're going to unlink this and set it 20 to the left and 20 to the right. And so we're just going to add another container within, but before that we'll go back to this container, and for the structure, come down to the layout. For the layout, we're going to set it to row horizontal, and then we'll add another container to it. We'll just drag and drop this container here, and then we'll duplicate it, duplicate the container, and we're just going to drag it this way. So we'll have something like this, and then for here we're going to add a featured image. We're going to add a featured image here, okay. And then for this, what we're going to do is just as we did before, we're just going to click on this cog icon so that we'll preview exactly the post type we're actually creating the single post for. So we'll come to the preview settings, and then we're going to set it to theme, and then we're going to apply and preview. Alright, so this is what we'll have here. Okay, so now that we'll have this, the next we're going to do, we're going to add here, we're going to add the post content here. We're just going to drag it and drop it here. Okay, so this is where the post content goes, and then for the image we can give it a width of 500 pixel, and a height of 500 pixel as well. Let's see, 500 pixel as well. And then for the object fit, we're going to set it to cover, so we'll have something like this. This looks better. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is right below this, we're going to drag social icons there. Social icon. I'm going to drag it here, and then right above here we're going to drag the post title here. We'll go back here, we'll drag the post title, and the post title in this case is going to be the name of the person we're creating, the name of the team member. So right there, and then right below it, let's just change the color. Let's edit the color and change it to something dark black like this. This looks better. And then right below it, we're going to drag a heading, and then we're going to drop it here. This time around, we're going to use a dynamic tag ACF field. We're going to use for position. So then we'll come down to the advanced settings. For the advanced settings, before it, we're going to type position. Position before. Okay, so now that we've done that, we'll come down to the settings here. I'm going to set the color to be somewhat like this, and then for the size, we're going to set the size to be something, let's say 20 pixel. Okay, and then now that we've done that, I'm going to change this. I think everything looks okay. We should remove the HTML tag from H2, set it to like H3. Okay, and this one we are not seeing what we're doing, it doesn't really matter, but at the end of it we're going to preview it and then do the necessary changes here. And okay, we'll now come down to these social icons, just like we did when we were creating the archive. We're going to set the various tag ACF URL, then we'll set it for Facebook, and then we're gonna do the same for the rest. So just I've successfully add the dynamic tag for the various social handles. So you can see this is what we're gonna have for our single post page for this custom post type for themes that we've created. So now that we've done that, we're just going to click on publish, and then we're going to add a condition. Remember, this is very important, so that in a situation where you have different types of post types in your website, this comes in very, very handy. So we're just going to go down to the themes, and then for the themes, we're going to set it to be for themes, and then all the themes, just going to set it to appear that way. Then we'll click on save changes. And voila, changes have been saved. So now we'll go to our theme. We'll go to our theme, see the various team members. This is the archive we've created. You can remember we created this archive. So now that we've done, we're here. So if you should click on this Rita Morrison security, it's going to load to a single post that we've created. You can see. Alright, see, this is the mistake we did here. So we're just gonna go back, and then we're gonna edit this. I'm gonna edit this, and then come down to the advanced settings, and for the position we're just gonna add a colon and then a space, and we're gonna publish it. Yep, and then we'll go back here and we'll refresh this. Voila, it's not set. Well, so you can see, and then it's various social handles added here. So if you should go back, and then you click on this Charles Baker, you can see this is the full Charles Baker's profile. You see, and you go back as well. Alright, and so we've come to the end of this tutorial. I hope this crash course was informative to you. If you're new to our channel, please remember to hit the subscribe button, and do not forget to hit the bell icon so you get notified first when next I upload a new video. And trust me, I'll be uploading more videos on advanced custom fields and Elementor subsequently. So remember to check back on our channel for more interesting videos. Until then, see you. Bye bye.